another edition of the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show. And again, a special thank you goes out to our friend, Mr. Stephen Brady over at Blue Shamrock Music, who is actually sponsoring our Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show. And on the show tonight, we got a really special artist to introduce to you. And he's got a really cool story, and we'll talk to him about his music journey, and we'll find out a little bit more about him right now. His name, please welcome Mr. Dave Cox. And Dave, how you doing, sir? You doing okay?
I'm doing great, thanks, Russell, and it's good to be here. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. And so, where are you at right now? What part of the world are you in right now?
Okay, I'm down in Melbourne, Australia. So we're down the tip, down the bottom of Australia there, and that's where we are. And we're just coming into summertime here.
Oh my goodness, I'm super jealous of a few things. You're in Australia, a place I always wanted to go visit, and I just heard you say that it's the start of summer. Well, where I'm at now, we're actually in our Niagara Falls location. We have two, one in the Carolinas and one in Niagara Falls. But tonight's show is coming to you from our Niagara Falls studios, and it's almost the beginning of winter.
All right, get your coats on. Good.
Oh my goodness, and are we so gonna need it? Hopefully my boss let me go back to the Carolinas.
Oh, of course, beautiful. Well, it's good. No, well, we're coming into summer, and we're looking for a nice warm, hot summer, and kick back and lay back and listen to good music too, eh?
Got you. So now that we're on the subject of music, can you maybe bring our listeners up to speed as to how your musical journey began, where are you now, and what's come up in the future?
Yeah, look, I guess like most people, music's been a part of my life pretty much all my life ever since a teenager, and I'm like millions of other teenagers. At 14, I sat on the bed with a crappy guitar or something that wasn't playable, but I just chipped away, and I learnt to play and enjoyed it, and it's been with me all my life. It's been a friend, it's been a mate, it's been someone that no matter what I'm doing in my life or how I'm feeling or what's going on, to pull the guitar out and have a bit of a strum, it's engaging for yourself, but it enabled me to sort of meet new people. And as you know, music, it just opens up and takes you to a new tribe. So music's been a part of my life ever since I was a young fella. And I joined the army and spent about 10 years in the military. And the guitar was with me throughout that whole process. So no matter where I went, where I was posted, who I was with, it was my friend. It was with me, and it was a reliable mate. So again, there's many times that I was alone, and I'd just pull the guitar out, and it would be a friend. And then it wouldn't be long before there'd be other people come and sit down with you and have a beer or a coffee, and next thing you know, you got a whole new group of friends. So music connects, and it's been a part of my life ever since the start. So the journey from there was really after I left the military, I went into business and corporate life, and devoted a lot of time and energy to that, as you do to sort of, family and friends and all the stuff that you get encumbered with as you move forward. And the last few years, I got engaged with a mob called Guitars for Veterans, and they're very big in the USA. And I was fortunate enough to meet the founder over there. His name's Pat Nettersheim, and he was the founder of Guitars for Veterans out of Milwaukee. And I met Pat, and he told me the story about music and veterans and PTSD. And I thought, geez, that's got to be my mission in Australia. I've got to do something there. So I came back after this trip and decided I've got to get going on music. So before I sort of established Guitars for Veterans Australia, I went off and started to write some of my own material and get my own music underway, because I felt, look, it's no good talking about the benefits of music and music therapy with PTSD if you don't get out front yourself. You don't lead and have a go, write some songs and get some material out. So that's really what's the catalyst for me writing my own music and starting my musical journey as a writer, songwriter, and an artist. So and that happened in about 2017 when I really kicked it off and got my first song out.
So now that we're talking about your music, What type of music is your style?
Yeah, look, I come from that time when music, the lyrics were really important. It was about the message in the lyrics, the melody, the way it made you feel. So I've always been a songwriter or a style that really attracts to that. So it's probably born out of, music from Crosby, Stills and local folk artists, country music. Yeah, that sort of music is what really attracted me as a songwriter. Although I really love rock and roll, of course, who doesn't? But when it comes to songwriting, I really like the idea of sharing your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your experiences, and putting it down into melody. That was the craft that I really wanted to try to sort of hone in on. So kicking off the first song, it was really about a feel good, and I wrote the first song. Like most songwriters, you get inspired with different things. I used to drive to work every day along this road, and up on the hill was this old church, and out the front was the billboard. As churches do, they have a billboard, and it normally says, he's coming, or the Lord is nigh, and all those sort of good messages. But this one was a message that spoke to me, and it said, "Peace starts with a smile." And I thought, what a fantastic tag, what a fantastic message. And so I thought about that for a long time. And then that was the first song I wrote, was based off that. And then as soon as I wrote the song, that the message on the board was changed. So I sort of think, well, maybe that was meant for me to sort of catalyst the first song. So my first song as a songwriter, an individual, was "Peace Starts with a Smile," and I launched that in 2017. That really started the journey, and the passion, and the addiction.
Awesome. So, when people listen to your music, what's the message that you're trying to get out to them?
The message I'm trying to say is, there's joy in music, and and it's something to feel good. It's something of comfort. I always try to write a song that's got perhaps just a little message of positivity somewhere in the message in the song. I think for me as a songwriter, that's really important, that you have some meaningful lyric and a message, and people can resonate with that. And that's generally what happens. People will catch a line out of the song, or just the general feeling, and that's what's going to attract them to the song. Like any music, there's no one particular thing, but it can be just a sequence of words that talk to you, or it can be a very simple melody that is easy to tag onto. So the message in this song, and most of my songs, is generally about having a go, being uplifting, and being trying to help other people. Think about others, and just a general positivity, and that's for me what music is all about.
I love hearing you say that, especially now with all the craziness going on in the world right now. I love hearing you say that you want your music to reach out to people that are in times of need right now, and there's certainly a lot of need right now in the world with all the craziness going on. Can you kind of like speak to that, and what are your thoughts about that?
Uh, More than ever, I think through time, we are in troubled times. There's no doubt about that. And and as we get deeper into these troubled times, we have to start to reflect on the basics of life. What's really important, and the things about money and possessions. We all need that, but how much do you need? When it comes down to you, what's really important is your friends, your family, the people you love, the people that love you. These things are the real essences of what life is all about. And for me, it's moments, and I actually wrote a song called Moments. And in life, that's what you want to collect. You don't want to collect things. You don't want to collect possessions. What you want to be able to do is collect moments with other people, moments you share, and they can be simple things. They can just be sitting with a friend, having a laugh and sharing a joke. That's a moment that is so special. And if you can think about those things and have a lot of those in your kit bag, that's what will propel you in life. And more so today, as you know, we are in we're in sort of troubled times, and maybe not more than any other time, but people are reflecting on it, and it really makes us want to think about the people around us and how we treat them and how we love and respect them. And I think everything starts with that. We all have a sphere of influence, and if we're able to sort of influence just the people around us in a positive way, well, that's the paying it forward. That's the spin-off. If everybody did that, the world would be a pretty happy place with a lot of great music.
Now that we're speaking about music, are there any artists that you really look up to that maybe inspired you along your way on your musical journey? If so, who are they, and why did they inspire you so much?
Oh, well, my artists that are really inspiring for me were Australian artists. Obviously, being an Australian, that there's artists like Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs. So he was one of those singers from the '60s that sort of had the suit on and used to sort of hold his hands behind his back and sort of sing the popular tunes. But he quickly evolved into an amazing artist of rock and roll, and then evolved from rock and roll into sort of meaningful music. And I was inspired by Billy because he transformed his music um, in his journey. He wasn't a one trick pony, and he showed that talent can sort of transcend trends and things like that. So Billy was one of the ones I really admire. Another fellow is Normie Rowe. Normie Rowe was a wonderful singer through the '60s and '70s, and he was drafted into the army, and he was sent to Vietnam. He was drafted at the peak of his performing. He was the king of rock and roll in Australia. He was the idol. He was on the TV all the time. He was really it. And then he was drafted, but he had the courage to stand up, accept the draft, went off to Vietnam, did his duty, and came back. And by the time he came back, his career had sort of ended because music had moved on, and his style of music was no longer in vogue. But Normie started to reinvent himself. He wrote some songs, he got some new artists around him, and he regenerated himself. These are the things I admire in artists who have that ability that once they write something and have much success, once they have a pitfall or a setback, they don't drop their bundle, they don't throw the towel in, they don't crack a nervo. They actually sit down, recalibrate themselves, draw on their talent and draw on their people around them, and then they kick off again in a totally new direction. And often that new direction is amazing because we're talking about someone with absolute talent. So they're the people I admire as musicians and artists and writers, the ones that can draw on the well in really tough times, and they're the really special artists for me.
Awesome. And thank you so much for sharing that. Again, we are live with our friend, Mr. Dave Cox. And we are Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show with your friend Russell K. Make sure you join me and my friend Miss Shauna Brown for the morning show, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. And you can check it out worldwide. Just go to Alexa and enable the skill and say, Alexa, play Music Dreams USA Radio. And you can check us out on the morning show. And now let's get back to our special guest. And so, Dave, I got another question for you. And this question has to do with the music industry as a whole. So kind of like, let's take a little bit of a musical journey with you. So when you first got into music to where music is right now as we're speaking today, what are your thoughts about the music industry?
Uh, really mixed feelings about it at the moment. I struggle with it sometimes. I think it's not really kind to artists that are actually original artists. I think it's obviously an industry and it's a business, and it has all the hallmarks of that. So it's very business orientated, which is important. But I guess I like to. I'm critical of the industry because I think the downloads are fantastic and the streaming is wonderful, but the artists get nothing out of that. I'm from that school where the original writers, they really still have to do CDs, sell them at shows, and promote their music. Um, get an LP pressed, actually sell their music of value with the story. So for me, I guess I'm progressive in my ideas and thinking, and I love the idea of, the new the new streaming models and all that. But I think the original artists, get denied, and they don't really have the opportunity to actually present their music. So it's really incumbent on them. They have to do shows, do performances, and get out in front and create their own uh, support and people. Um, Whereas the industry itself is really just geared for the million downloads, 2 cents a download. That's what the artists get. And I guess maybe I'm just saying things that I've been saying for years. You hear about the Beatles in their day. You know, they sold millions and millions and millions of records, and they got really bugger all out of it in the end. They didn't get a real lot until they're late. But I think today we have to try to find a balance. Where original writers and artists, perhaps there's a way that, beyond just the physical CDs and the physical material that you can sell. So I think there is a bit of an evolution with that. There's a lot of live shows going on now. People are coming back to live music in venues, in clubs, and things like that. So there's quite a resurgence of live music, which really allows original artists great opportunity to present their music. So that's my sort of take on the music industry, and I'm a great supporter of, if you are an original artist, obviously get out and just get in front of as many people as you can. Coffee shops, clubs, pubs, whatever you can do, just get out and tell your story yourself, your personality, your music.
So now that we're talking about the music industry, if you had one way to fix the issue we just talked about, what would it be?
I think if there was some way that the artists actually received, the original artists, the writers, received a little more revenue from the streaming. I think they're denied the talent. That's the core of the song, is the writers and the composers and the producers. So I think I think if there was a way to give them a little more, it would be more encouraging, and perhaps encourage other people to get involved.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So now let's talk about you and your music. So what do you have coming up? You have any shows coming up right now?
Well, I just completed a show on our peninsula down here. It was a show to promote the Guitars for Veterans charity, which I'm the founder of in Australia, and it's the main reason that I do music, is to support this charity and promote music, and encourage veterans to think about taking up the guitar and learning music to help them with their stress and their PTSD, and also as another opportunity to sort of project themselves. So we had a great show down on the peninsula. We were able to raise a lot of funding for the charity, and present. And on the show, we normally have other artists who are original songwriters, and we had a show sharing our original music. And what astounds me is these shows is the way the audience are sort of captivated by the music. They're captivated by the lyrics and the emotion and the feeling that the original artists have sharing their music. And that's the intimacy that original music and original songwriters can bring to shows. So I'm a big fan of that. And so we had a great show last weekend. So that's pretty much the show for me for this year, and we'll start to planning something for early next year, and move forward as we create some more music.
Let's talk a little bit more about the charity. Have you seen like a lot of lives change through this charity, and what are some of the benefits of the charity, and what are some of the things you got coming up down the line?
Well, Guitars for Veterans the core of it is that what we do is we give a veteran a guitar, and we give them 10 lessons free of charge. And the idea is to teach them music, and just teach them the basics, so that they can sit on the back porch with a cup of coffee and play the guitar to themselves. And what music can do is actually a veteran told me once that it opened up a new window in his mind. So if you can imagine, if you're suffering from PTSD or depression or some stress related injury, you're very consumed. But the act of picking the guitar up, physically playing it, mentally thinking about the chords, but also you've got this emotional feeling towards the beautiful sound of the guitar. It does take people to another place. So 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 we do that to help veterans make this transition, and it's very successful. Uh, we've done many hundreds of veterans, and the feedback is that they enjoy it. They now are able to actually sit with a few friends and play guitar, so it actually helps them socialise in a different way that they normally hadn't. Some veterans, we've actually pulled them out of caravans. They've been so isolated, they've been so cut off from the community and so withdrawn that their ability to communicate with other people is really quite disturbing. But music has a way of opening up the brain. It has a way of just opening up this new window. And so what we try and do is just activate that sort of feeling and emotion with a veteran. So music is a therapy, and there's no drugs involved. It's just purely the spiritual feeling of playing a few chords and enjoying that either by yourself or with others. So that's the journey, and since we've been doing it, we've had a lot of veterans really start to take it up in a bigger way. We've got some starting to write their own songs. So it's just a way to give something back to veterans in a very simple way, and share the joy of music. It's a healing force.
Well, thank you for your service first and foremost, and I love what you guys are doing. Reaching out to veterans and give them another avenue to explore. So I tip my hat to you and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
So with that being said, do you have any memories that you'd like to share with us as it relates to what you're doing?
Uh, I guess the memories I have is just some of the phone calls from the veterans and their families that call me to tell me what impact or change it's made in people's lives. I mean, that is overwhelming sometimes to hear that. When I hear from some of the music instructors that have talked about how the veterans have opened up, um, and communicate better with each other, and share this new joy in music, and that's enough to sort of warm anybody's heart. Really, it's amazing. A bit of wood and six strings. How simple as that can actually change people's lives. So it doing the research into music therapy, it goes back to Florence Nightingale, who was the founder of nursing back in the Crimean sort of war back in those days, and she discovered that by playing music to the injured troops, it was soothing. But she also discovered that soothing voice and a stringed instrument actually helped calm them, soothe them, and actually help with their healing. So here's this really progressive young nurse at the time who's founding the nursing profession, and she incorporated music as part of a healing. So that's an amazing story, and I talk about that a lot. It's like, this is not new. The gift of music has been around forever, and it's amazing after all this time. With the troubles of today, with stress related depression, ADHD, PTSD, all that, there's a place for music to actually have a healing force.
Oh, I love hearing you say that, and you are so right. And with our show, as you know, it's worldwide, and obviously we get a lot of people watching now, and a lot more people to watch afterwards. And so, for all the veterans that will be watching this show now, or maybe in the future they'll be watching this show, how can they get in contact with you to join this amazing charity that you're doing right now?
Well, Guitars for Veterans is now, it's pretty much all over the USA. So just going to Guitars for Veterans on the web, you'll find them, and you'll find a chapter in your state or province. Uh, and so they'll be easy to find in the USA, and there's no problems. Guitars for Veterans also in Canada, and Guitars for Veterans are also in the UK. So anybody from those regions that are interested in this, just do a web search, Guitars for Veterans, and you'll find quickly enough someone or a location, a website to log on to and talk to someone. And in Australia, it's the same, Guitars for Veterans Australia. Anybody here that's interested, they can just contact us through that website, and we'll pick them in, and we'll help them join the team, and take on the, the wonder of guitar, and perhaps open a new opportunity for them, even just to sort of make them feel better about themselves. But who knows, we could have the next artist sort of lining up coming from that field.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that, but I mean that's what I love about the music industry. You get superstars that come out of nowhere, people
Yep.
that you never knew that had that in them, and it's the people that persevere. It's the people that they have, they're serious about it. They have a game plan. They're going to stick to it no matter what, and they're able to overcome the obstacles. I mean, that's pretty huge in the music industry. Would you agree with that comment?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, to be a songwriter and a musician, you have to be able to handle rejection. You've got to be able to handle these things easily. Not everybody's going to dig your lyrics and your music, but you've got to draw on this belief, that it's your song, your story, and there'll be people out there that will identify with it. So that the trick is, how do you find them, and how do they find you? And I think just be true to your music. It's easy to sort of run off and think, oh, I need to sort of sound like this person. No, you don't. You need to sound like yourself, and you need to tell your story. That's the uniqueness. That's the speciality. People quickly try to be something else. Don't be something else. Be absolutely yourself. Your story, your voice, your message, your emotion. The more of that you can actually pour into your song, that makes you more unique and more special, and also you'll feel better about it yourself, because you're actually expressing what you want to do. So that's my message, I guess, to anybody that's just starting out: is don't be persuaded to adapt and change. Stick to what you believe in. It's your creation, it's your ideas, and that's the uniqueness about it. So run with it.
That's awesome. Well, earlier in the show, I did tell you that we spoke to Steven, and he told me that you had a really special story that you wanted to share with us. So, guess what? We're going to ask you to share that amazing story with us.
An amazing story. I don't
Yes. Stephen
know.
Brady told me that you had an amazing story that you wanted to share on the Music
Oh,
Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight. So, we're going to turn it back over to you. And if you could be so kind, and I'd love to hear that story.
all right. Okay. I'm very fortunate with the Guitar for Veterans program. It actually opens up a lot of opportunity to meet different people, and do presentations, and sometimes you may be aware of Rotary clubs.
Hmm.
You have them in the USA. They're a wonderful group of people that are community minded, good spirit, and they want to support. So unfortunately, I sometimes get invited to present the Guitars for Veterans story in a formal process. So what I normally do is I'll go along and I'll do the formal presentation standing at the lectern. But in front of the lectern, I'll just lean the guitar up against the lectern, and you can see everybody's going, will he? Won't he? Is he going to play? Will he? So you can see them, they're thinking about that. So I do the presentation, and I talk about music therapy and all that. And then when I've finished, after I've had the questions, before I leave, I'll pick the guitar up and I'll play a couple of songs. And and I and I have a song that I wrote based on a poem that was given to me by a veteran. And the song's called "Where Do I Go?" And it's basically the story of a veteran with PTSD, and he's crying out, "Where do I go? Who do I talk to? Who can understand?" It's a plea for help. And I play this song, and more often than not, when I play that song, the audience goes so quiet, and and I normally have people in tears because the music, even I've done this presentation, just a couple of minutes of the music and a message in the song cut straight through to the heart and 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 to the thoughts. So I'll see these people with tears, which is always a challenge for me because I can feel the emotion. But as soon as I finish, after that, there is just immense sort of interest in what we're doing and how can you help. So for me, music tells that story better than anything else. It no matter how good your presentations, your PowerPoint skills, your public speaking skills, and all that stuff is great, but a song in a couple of minutes with a good melody and a message just goes bang straight through and explodes into their emotion. So for me, I get so empowered in my mind about the power of music that inspires me to keep writing because the messaging is just absolutely spot on. So, and as you know, Russell, that's what it's about. When you hear a song and you hear the message, if it resonates, it can make you happy all day because you say, I get that. I understand what they're talking about, and whether you're driving along and you hear a song that takes you back to some place in time, with a friend or someone you spent some special, it just bang, you get the image straight away. It's hallucinating. It just takes you straight there. So for me, being able to tell a message about a charity, and then wrap it up with a song with a message is such a privilege, and also just inspires me to keep doing it.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing, and I'm so excited you're on our show this evening. And you're a great example of why we do our show. So, thank you for making music great, and thank you for helping out the veterans. That's just amazing. So, as we wind down our show this evening, are there any final thoughts that you would like to share with us and our listeners?
Oh, I just thank everybody, for showing interest in your show, Russell, and what you're doing because you're promoting such a wonderful thing as original music and artistry. And for a while there, I was sort of worried it was all going to be not happening because of all different aspects and social media. It's so easy to create stuff, but there's still this place for originality and original music, and people say, oh, you're worried about AI. I'm not worried about AI at all. AI is sort of, it builds on its repetition. Original ideas and original thoughts come from human beings, you know, our brains and our emotions. It's combining the emotion with the brain that gives us this beautiful output, and AI can never do that. So my message to everybody is, don't worry about what's coming at us. If you believe in your music and you want to be an artist and you want to be a writer, don't let anything stop you, and don't be worried about the future. You just enjoy your music and get on with it.
I know we spoke a lot about a lot of different things on the show this evening. Is there anything that we missed that maybe you'd like to share with our audience?
Um, oh, we covered a lot of ground, Russell. I'm just
I
trying to
know we had
think
a
what.
lot of fun this evening.
uh, Let me see. No, there's not much more I can really add. I do have an interesting story is with the charity. We take donated guitars, so people turn up with a guitar, and they bring them out from Uncle Johnny's bed underneath the shed down the back. So they end up with these guitars that if we can reuse them for the veterans, we do, but often we don't. They're just not good enough. So we created a thing called guitar art, and what we do is we give the useless guitars, we take the strings off and we give them to an artist, and sometimes that's even a veteran, and we get them to paint a theme on that guitar. We take the guitar back and then we sell it to raise funding. So what we try and do is we never leave a guitar behind because that is such a beautiful piece of artistry in itself. The wood, the curves, the sound, and who knows the story. You don't know what emotion has been with that guitar with the previous owners. So I look at every guitar as virtually a living thing, and try to care for it. So we have a saying is we don't leave a guitar behind either.
I like that. I like that. And on behalf of Blue Shamrock Music, and special thank you to Stephen Brady. And man, it was such an honor to meet with you this evening, and we love what you're doing. Guitars for Veterans. I mean, that's an amazing charity and helping out veterans in need, and veterans who have been through all types of situations. And I couldn't agree with you more about music is so powerful to help them. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you
Thanks,
for your
Russell.
service. And thank you so much for being part of our show. Any final thoughts before we go?
No final thoughts. Just thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas and history. And if you want to listen to my music, you'll find it on the Blue Shamrock site. I think I have maybe 10 or 12 songs up there and a couple of new ones. I'm planning some new music for next year. Um, we do albums for Guitars with Veterans as well, where I get other artists to put songs onto an album that we can sell, always original artists. So you'll see a lot of Dave Cox music on the Blue Shamrock site. I also run under another name, Rusty and the Radiators, which is a rockabilly style of music that I've sort of tried to move to. So I have my Dave Cox music, which is more thoughtful about a life in general, but Rusty and the Radiators is a little more hard edge and sort of cashing in or looking at the rockabilly style, but with still a bit of fun lyrics. So I'm looking to expand my musical ideas and creativity, and also have some fun with it, because that's what it's about too.
That's awesome. And what we're going to do on the morning show tomorrow is, like, I want you to send me some of your music, and we're going to dedicate our morning show tomorrow to the Veterans for Guitars, and we're gonna dedicate our morning show to that. And if you be so kind and send me some music, and we'll put that on the morning show tomorrow, and dedicate that to you guys. I mean, what an amazing thing you guys are doing, and can't thank you enough for making music so great. And it just this show is all about that, right? It's all about supporting upcoming aspiring artists and charities and all that stuff. So thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Great. Thanks, Russell. Thanks for the opportunity, and best wishes to everybody that watches your show. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you just checked out Dave Cox with music for guitars for veterans. What an amazing charity! So make sure you check out the interview in its entirety. What an amazing interview! Special thank you goes out to Blue Shamrock Music. Our show is being sponsored by this evening. Special thank you to Mr. Stephen Brady as well. Until the next time, it's your friend Russell K, and you are watching the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show, once again being brought to you by Blue Shamrock Music. Until the next time, be safe, and we'll see you soon.